It feels like I've been waiting for something like Luca to come out of Pixar for a long time. When I first heard of Luca, and when I first saw the trailers, I was definitely roped into its low-key Salamander Wolfwalkers parody premise, but there was only one thing that I wanted from this movie. As said in the past, I only wanted this movie to be pure slice-of-life fun. Just nothing except simple stakes accompanied by a detailed look into our characters' everyday lives. And then I saw it, and I am blown away. And it wasn't just that it looked beautiful, the characters were cute, and some scenes were emotionally devastating, as always. This was something that I have not felt in a while in regards to Pixar. With the exception of Coco, I don't think I've ever been this immersed in a Pixar film for the past decade. And part of how I feel about that has to do with one thing in particular, which I am going to talk about, but I'm going to frame it as a personal response to a very specific criticism that I keep stumbling upon. The one thing that I keep seeing in other people's reviews that really grinds my gears, and is kind of a weird bone to pick, but it's just the weird connotation that Luca is uneventful or unambitious, whether it's too slow or too little in regards to other people's expectations of Pixar, which is always a detriment of this particular studio. The expectations people have for them are unrealistically high. And what makes this connotation weird is that it's being used as a slight against the film. I do generally get why people think that Luca being small scale may have been underwhelming for them and made them feel like this belongs in Pixar's lower half, but personally, I disagree strongly, especially as someone whose favorite genre in animated content is the slice of life genre. You can really do anything with animation as a medium, so it's nice to put your imagination to the test and make something as bombastic and ethereal as Coco or Inside Out, maybe Spirited Away or How to Train Your Dragon. But when animation is being used as a way to highlight the wonders we experience in our everyday lives, that's the kind of animated content that makes me feel seen, and by extension, makes me feel like I am a part of that film. Sure, you can feel equally immersed in a fantasy adventure, but it is so much fun and so moving to just watch characters do things and how they come to terms with certain circumstances that arise. In fact, some of my personal favorite animated films either have simple stories or virtually no story at all. Liz and the Bluebird is essentially just about one relationship between two high school students contextualized in musical performances, while also using a fairy tale as a framing device to further develop their relationship with each other. While it may seem heavily uneventful, it only looks like that on the surface. As you dig deeper into the visuals, the characters, and the soundtrack, so many pieces start coming together like a puzzle. It took me 5 watches to fully understand this movie, and each time it felt like a completely different film, trying to view it from different perspectives and paying close attention to small details in the cinematography and the soundtrack. This is the kind of stuff that the slice of life genre can do. And while certainly not every one of those types of movies have the same level of grandiose in their technicalities, they still incorporate well-done filmmaking and storytelling. Again, this is not a slight against any film that doesn't derive from this genre. Wolfwalkers is definitely not a slice-of-life film, but I love it just as much as the next Cartoon Saloon fan. But then again, while Wolfwalkers definitely feels grand, it's because of the characters, the visuals, and the music, and not exactly the plot and lore detail, which many can agree is relatively simple and straightforward. And I want to remind everyone that being straightforward or being nothing at all is not a bad thing, especially when it all comes back to Luca. Wow, I'm finally getting back on topic after that whole rant. To start, the director of Luca specifically said that the art and general feel behind this film was inspired by Studio Ghibli. And it's not that hard to say that the slice of lives were his main source of inspiration, as it is written all over this movie. It's also not hard to tell that Luca does something very different from Pixar's usual, but that's not to its detriment. The people who made Luca understood that it wasn't going to be this plot-heavy, lore-invested, emotional powerhouse, and they knew that that was okay. With the straightforward story and virtually zero lore detail, they made time to make sure that the audience could explore these characters, enjoy their interactions and dynamics, and ultimately examine everyday life around them, making it feel so immersive. And it does all of that through accessible, entertaining animation, utilizing a lot of 2D techniques, despite the technology being for CG films. What with the characters having these stylistic designs and occasionally facing directly to the side, the bold shot composition with the warm and familiar color choice, and then with the intricate details into Porto Rosso and the villagers there. Plus how it's not trying to be overly photorealistic, the visuals really play a role in making this world feel real. Not a lot of time in this film feels wasted because each second is devoted to developing the relationships between the characters. How Luca feels about his family, to the dynamics between him and Alberto, the hilarious antics of Ercole, how Giulia is so entertaining and I love her, and finally to how the jealousy and animosity in this friend group create such a simple but powerful rift depicting toxic relationships and attachment issues, and in such a subtle and universal manner so as not to make it feel like it's shoving it in your face. I do think there are a few nitpicks with the finale, but still it goes out of its way to make the decisions characters make understandable, what with everyone being afraid and impulsive, or maybe the opposite with caring about others more than themselves. Again, I really do wish Luca could be seen as this beautiful masterclass of Pixar comfort food, but it's these stupid expectations of Pixar to make a grandiose powerhouse that generates this weird belief that Luca is subpar to those films, even though the movie is not in any way trying to be an emotional wreck. It's just trying to be a good movie, which it does oh so expertly, especially in regards to how it utilizes the slice of life genre. Then again, quality is completely subjective, and this whole response is according to my personal taste and my personal experience with films and shows that are low-key straightforward. It's just that if you have problems with Luca, don't just define the genre as if that explains why it feels so underwhelming, because some people may like Luca for those exact same reasons. And can we stop having these unrealistic expectations of Pixar? You're only going to get more disappointed with every installment. In conclusion, Luca is another breathtaking entry for Pixar, with immensely likable characters and beautiful animation. Like I said, it is everything I wanted it to be, even if it isn't what others were expecting. But personally, I love this movie to bits, and it is easily my favorite film of the year so far, until Netflix gives in and finally brings the Violet Evergarden movie to the US. Overall, an ethereal 8 out of 10 experience, which actually might lean into a 9 out of 10 in the future. I don't know, just give me some time. If you've not seen it yet, you should definitely check out Wolfwalkers on Apple+. It's my favorite Cartoon Saloon film and probably one of my favorite animated films of all time. I'd also recommend Liz and the Bluebird, which also belongs in my personal favorites. But even though it's a spin-off, you probably should watch the first 2 seasons of Hibike Euphonium before watching this, just in case. So that's my review of Pixar's recent movie Luca. As I said, taste is subjective, so tell me your thoughts on this film. Do you agree or disagree with my points? Tell me why you agree or disagree if you want to. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. It takes hours and days to make these videos, whereas it only takes a few seconds of your time to do those 4 actions. As always, thank you for watching, and see you next time!